This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, I've heard it before, and I am sure that I will hear it again. It does not matter who the host is. What matters always is whose the listeners are. So welcome to this second day of audio torture, because that is exactly what it's going to be today. If you're paying close attention to exactly what is going on, hopefully some of the microphone processing is better today, but let's not start off the whole thing with some complaining, because that exactly is what it sounds like I'm doing. So with that being said, let's get into it right away. Today is Thursday. Yes, it is Thursday, December the 14th of 2023, day 348th of the year, and only 17 days left to go. I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida. I'm coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio.
Oh, yes, hanging out with those people over there is always a good time as we're doing the things on Radio Berg. Radio Big. So listen, everything's always kind of copacetic in regards of what we're going to do around here. So here's how it works. If you're not familiar with the show, let's give the layout to the land, because I think that that's always important to do. If you hang out here, this is what's going to happen. We're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about safety and the news, because that's just kind of the way that things go around here. So no doubt about that. So if you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process in doing so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That will get everything moving and grooving for you. As that is going on, you're going to get some options once you get there. You can go into a video chat. You can go into an audio chat, and you go to a text messaging chat. As I have realized throughout the years, the text messaging option is the way that most people go, and I'm cool with that, because it alleviates some of the other torture of things that we're supposed to be doing. So that's a good sign. So keep it in that particular matter. Anyways, with that being said, let's start talking right away about what the hell was trending in the overnights.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so as we look at some of the things that are going on, let's talk about it. Stocks hit an all-time high, and Sam Bankman-Fried lawyer dishes on some behind-the-scene details, so you can hear a little bit about that. Luke Combs accidentally sues a fan, I heard about that this morning. It was a kind of an interesting story. We'll get into some of that. And Tiffany Hardish is releasing another book. I wonder what it's going to be about, but we'll leave it neither here or there. And Netflix finally shares some viewing details, and America's Most Wanted returns with John Walsh as a host. We'll talk about that in the casting call. Yeah, you do know that they released it without him for a hot minute there. You saw how that worked. And Bianca Censori parents have joined a group with those over concerns of her marriage to Yi. So we'll talk about that. And despite a down year, the Sussex Foundation still gave where it could. We'll talk about that as we get into the Royals, as we get into hour 2 and hour 3 of this. And this is a 3-hour show. Let's talk about that. Only the first hour do we put on video, just in case. Thank goodness. Also, the other side is that hour 2 and 3, we focus on music. Hour number 1, we focus on what we call the Rated R Safety Show. But this is really the Jay Allen in the Morning Show, just in case if you're not aware of what happens here. Just for entertainment purposes, and then we can go from there. So what do you think? How does it make you feel? Do you feel warm and fuzzy now? That's the great part about it. So, as we are talking, I do have some professional broadcasters waiting in the wing, because that is what they like to do, in regards of wanting to tell you what the hell's going on. So why don't we go ahead and get into the news? I have some Mark Mayfield waiting right over there. No, seriously, waiting right over there.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. The Senate has passed the annual defense policy bill. On Wednesday, the National Defense Authorization Act passed with a vote of 87 to 13. The $886 billion package lays out how the Pentagon will be funded through the next fiscal year. The bill now heads to the House, where it faces resistance from far-right Republicans who say it failed to rid the Pentagon of what they call woke policies. President Biden has released a statement following the decision by House Republicans to authorize an impeachment inquiry into him. Brian Shook reports.
Biden said that House Republicans are not joining him on focusing on the issues that impact the American people, instead attacking him with lies. He added that instead of doing their job on the urgent work needing to be done, they are choosing to waste time on the baseless political stunt that even Republicans in Congress admit is not supported by facts. Republicans argued the president benefited from the foreign business dealings of his son, Hunter Biden. I'm Brian Shook.
The White House appears to be walking back President Biden's recent comments on Israel.
He was expressing concerns that we continue to see civilian casualties in Gaza. And again, that we want to make sure that as they work to minimize, that they actually have those kinds of results.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby refused to explicitly say whether the U.S. believes Israel is carrying out indiscriminate bombing or following international law. Kirby instead said the administration expects Israel to do everything possible to minimize civilian casualties as it wages war on Hamas. Israeli forces have faced global criticism for the mounting civilian death toll in the Gaza Strip. And mortgage refinancing applications are up nearly 20% as rates fall to their lowest level since July. That's according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. The average 30-year fixed mortgage rate fell to 7.07% last week after edging up nearly to 8% in October. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Israel says its war in Gaza will continue until Hamas is annihilated. The US House of Representatives has voted to formally open an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Britain is to host the headquarters of a joint fighter jet development program involving the UK, Italy and Japan. And at least 4 people have been arrested in connection with a security breach in the lower house of the Indian Parliament on Wednesday.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
The Biden administration is pitching a new border plan that would deport more illegal immigrants without asylum screenings. Trey Thomas reports.
It's a bid to win over hardline Republicans like Texas Congressman Chip Roy.
We've got to deal with our border, and that is the right position to take.
The immigration policy changes are part of a proposed $100 billion package that includes military aid to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. The GOP has repeatedly demanded that border security be on the table in order to get a deal done by Christmas. I'm Trey Thomas.
Federal regulators say they're pushing for new technology that'll stop drunk drivers from getting behind the wheel. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration launched its Holiday Drive Sober campaign on Tuesday and said in a statement that it was starting work to make drunk driving detection standard in every new vehicle. The agency said its regulators are collecting information about the current state of technology that's used to detect impaired driving, which includes breath and touch sensors, which can tell if a driver drank alcohol. Federal data shows over 13,000 Americans were killed by drunk drivers in 2021. A man is in custody after starting a fire inside the New York State Supreme Court building just hours after testimony was heard in former President Trump's civil fraud trial. Jonathan O'Halloran has the story.
Some floors of the court building had to be evacuated as fire officials got to the scene downtown just after 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. A court spokesperson says someone in the courthouse lit fires to papers before using a fire extinguisher themselves to try to put out that fire. Among those evacuated from the building was Judge Arthur Engoron, who was presiding over the Trump fraud trial. The FDNY says 17 people suffered minor injuries in the incident. The motive behind the fire is unknown. Jonathan O'Halloran, New York.
And Doritos lovers can now enjoy a nacho-flavored alcohol. Doritos has teamed up with Empirical to create a beverage that tastes like the chip's classic nacho cheese flavor. It's made by using actual Doritos chips. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing that dinner's on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free to use the code SafetyFM free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free with code SafetyFM free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants. It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Listen to our host
of the Rated R Safety Show.
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, self-imploding and airwaves always sound like a good combination to me as we get to do stuff here on the Rated R Safety Show. It is currently 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Thursday and doing all the fun stuff that you and I get to do together, because that's always important. Let's not lie here. The importance of you and I hanging out is important and crucial to me every single day as I wake up for you and I to get to do our thing. That's for sure. So let's talk. Let's get into the shit list because I think that this is going to be important. And let's talk about it from the very, very beginning of some of the stuff that we were talking about yesterday, but we'll get into it right now because it's that important. Tesla has initiated a massive recall encompassing almost all of their vehicles sold in the U.S. to update the software that runs the self-driving autopilot feature. The sweeping recall follows an investigation of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that notes the autopilot features was engaged on cars during accidents, some fatal. The NHTSA concluded that the program method of making sure that the drivers are paying attention can be inadequate, according to the AP reports. With the software update, drivers will have a stronger control and reminders to pay attention to what they're doing. This is coming according to, are you ready for this? NBC News. So what do you think here? I'm just asking, have you been inside of one of these cars? And have you used the autopilot? I'm just asking because I want to have a better understanding. I always do. So let's talk about this real quick. The Dow on Wednesday closed at an all-time high, bolstered by reports that the Federal Reserve might consider rate cuts early next year, up 513 points. The Dow closed at 37,090, just shy of its peak earlier in the day. The positive market conditions also surged Apple stock value to an all-time high of $197.96 a share. So I guess it's some time to own some Apple stock if you're looking at it from that particular format. Sam Bankman-Fried, lead defense lawyer, tells Bloomberg that his client was one of the worst witnesses he ever represented. David Mills says that he only took on the case as a favor for SBF's parents, with whom he had been personal friends. He now assumes that their friendship has been destroyed and will be seen by them as a scapegoat if their son spends the rest of his life behind bars. Mills also revealed that he represented SBF via pro bono. Hey now, following SBF's convictions, his sentencing is set for March. So there you go. So hold on. I want to make sure that I understand this. You did this as a favor to the friends because you were close. You had a close friendship with the parents. And then now all of a sudden you're going to turn around and say, hey, this is not the case. This is what is going on because I don't think that he was a great person. I mean, that's kind of a weird thing. I mean, you can think whatever you want about people. That's great. But it's just kind of a weird spot to be in if you kind of really think about it. Anyways, take a listen to this. A sweeping Swedish study suggests that the, Hippocrats die earlier than those who don't compulsively obsess over germs in health. One expert says Associated Press, the results apply mostly to those who have severe issues inside of that spectrum. The researchers believe that the ongoing stress about health wears on the individual down. So there you go. What do you think? Some stuff to think about, that is for sure. Why don't we do this real quick? Let's bring some Aaron Royale into our life and move from there.
Sit in the backyard, son, and drink beer with Dad. Drinking beer with Dad. Out there on the back porch.
Kid Rock says he gave Bud Light the spanking they deserved, and he's ready to end his boycott. Kid Rock posted a video on social media firing a rifle at a case of Bud Light to protest an ad campaign that featured transgender entertainer Dylan Mulvaney. The video led to a boycott that resulted in Bud Light dropping from first to second place in U.S. beer sales and laying off 350 workers. In an interview with Tucker Carlson, Kid Rock said he doesn't want to hold their head underwater and drown them, and that Bud Light got the message. There's a mad rush to get toys on the shelves for this Christmas shopping season. Trucking companies are offering up some big bonuses to get drivers behind the wheel.
Incentives range from everything from 5-figure bonuses to a truck.
John Esparza heads the Texas Trucking Association. He says there is still a trucker shortage in the nation, and that's creating some logistical gaps when it comes to getting products on the stores in time. Being a truck driver this year, he says, is the best. It can feel like you're playing Santa Claus. Roughly 35% of Americans who have used a dating website or app have paid to do so at some point. That's according to a new report by Pew Research Center. Morgan Stanley found the average paying dating app user spends around $19 a month. However, some people shell out much more. The league's VIP membership costs $999 a week or $2,500 a month. In September, Tinder rolled out a $500 monthly subscription to some of its most active users, and Hinge recently introduced a $600 a month membership. There is some evidence that paid dating apps get results. Pew Research also found that people who met their partner on an app are more likely to have paid for the service. Consumer and business news, Aaron Royale, NBC News Radio.
Oh my Lord, I have so many questions there in regards to paying for the service of a dating app. Thank you, Aaron Royale, for that, number one. But if you're paying and you're getting a better results for paying $500 to $600 a month for a dating app, what exactly do those results consist of? I am just asking because I definitely want to have a better understanding of it. Like, what does that mean? You're having better results if you're paying for it. So, too many questions, not enough answers.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Anyways, let me give you the rest of what I was able to find inside of the stocks before I lose it over here. The Dow increased by 512 points to close at 37,090 as the all-time high. The S&P increased by 63 points to close at 4,707. NASDAQ added about 200 points to close at 14,733. West Texas Intermediate closed at $69 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $74 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.12 on Wednesday. Bitcoin surged on Wednesday, trading just over 43,120 in the evening. You see, this guarantees me that report yesterday was jacked up. There was more than 1,885 flights delayed within and to and out of the United States on Wednesday, and more than 65 such cancellations. Friday night's Mega Million drawing will be for a $28 million jackpot or a $13.3 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, my friend, it is time to do so. Anyways, let's get into some other information real quick. Former President Trump is urging his supporters to hit the voting booth. Despite leading current polls, Trey Thomas reports.
Trump touted his lead in GOP polls at an event in Iowa Wednesday night.
Crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They're willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win an election.
A recent poll by NBC News, the Des Moines Register, and Mediacom found that over half of Iowa Republicans would caucus for Trump. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, so there's some information for you. Let's stay inside of the polls for just one moment. More than half, over 1,200 Hispanics voted nationwide and say that the country is headed the wrong direction. And 45% of them who identify as Democrats don't want President Biden to run again. Trey Thomas has more.
But Republicans aren't any happier.
Former President Trump fares worse, right, among Hispanics, right? 57% say they don't want him to run. 32% say they want him to run.
Florida International University professor Eduardo Gamarra says if the election were held today, 53% would vote for Biden with 33% for Trump. The university's poll also finds nearly 20% have considered changing political parties in the last year. I'm Trey Thomas.
So let me ask you a question. Let me talk to you here. Why would you consider changing political parties? Why don't you just go ahead and vote for whatever you want? I mean, and listen, I know that if you tell somebody, why don't you just list down as a liberal, some people tend to have a conniption about that, but I don't mean that in a bad way, and I don't mean that in a good way. I just mean it in a way, why don't you just decide you don't go down a straight party line? But then again, maybe that's just related to people saying, you know something, you have commitment issues.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
You know how it goes around here. Anyways, let's talk about this. Israel's keeping up the attacks on Gaza Strip today, despite growing international calls to reduce civilian deaths in its war against Hamas. NBC Hala Gorani details the humanitarian crisis that have unfolded from inside a tent city, now home to some of their nearly 2 million people displaced.
This is where the Israeli military says they should be safe, bathing in plastic buckets, the blistered feet of those who've walked a long way to this camp.
UN officials say that roughly 90% of Gaza's population has been displaced by the relentless bombing and about 1 million people who are facing starvation. Health officials in Gaza say that over 18,000 Palestinians have been killed since the conflict started. Since the conflict started back on October the 7th. In a statement on Wednesday, the Palestinian health minister said that the vaccination of children is dwindling in Gaza and that they're running out of vaccines and will have catastrophic repercussions as they spread disease. Also, Dr. Al-Farah worked with Gaza hospitals and says the dirty water could become the next big killer in civilians caught in Israel-Hamas war.
We have the most serious acute gastroenteritis we have ever seen in our practice. Due to bad sanitation, due to bad water, to dirty water.
Farah also says the medication has run out for the elderly parents while they live in a single room with dozens of family members.
Since I came here, I'm trying to find these medicines for my mother. I couldn't find any one of them.
It sounds like a total cluster with everything that's going on. There is no doubt about that as we are talking. So I'm sure we'll talk more about that as things continue to progress one way or the other. It is currently 28 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's talk a little bit more before we get into our main story. A retired Boston fertility doctor is accused of impregnating a woman with his own sperm instead of using an anonymous donor. The daughter, Carolyn Bester, a home DNA test led to a shocking discovery that Dr. Merle Berger is her biological father.
To say I was shocked when I figured this out would be an extreme understatement. It feels like reality has shifted.
Her mother and patient, Sarah Deponian from Maine, is suing Dr. Berger over the procedure done in 1980. Berger, who later went on to start a Boston IVF, promised her that her and her husband that would have an anonymous sperm donor. Desposian says that the lawsuit that she feels like a victim of assault. Berger's attorney said that the allegations are not true and will be proven false in court. The family lawyer, Adam Wolf, says that Sarah did not get an anonymous sperm donor like she was promised, and it looks forward to proving it in court.
Dr. Berger secretly inserted his own sperm into Sarah. It is unethical, unacceptable, and unlawful. The allegations have been 100% the same since the beginning.
The patient and mother, Sarah, commented on the case.
It's hard to imagine not trusting your own doctor.
So I'm going to ask a question because I need to have a better understanding here. So he said that he was going to have an anonymous sperm donor. Let's make sure that we're clear here because, that's something that did come about. But let me ask the strange question. What's the difference here? So if he would have went anonymous because there wasn't a certain requirement and he went with his sperm, and I know that's kind of a weird thing, but that's what he was used. Can someone explain this to me so I can have a better understanding? Because at some point it sounds like she didn't care on who it was, but did she care because it was him? I'm just slightly confused. I just want to have a better understanding. That's all it boils down to. I'm not throwing stone or casting anything any which way. I just want to have a better understanding of what the hell is going on. No doubt about that. Take a listen to this. The Biden administration is pitching a new border plan that would deport more illegal immigrants without asylum screening. Trey Thomas has more.
It's a bid to win over hardline Republicans like Texas Congressman Chip Roy.
We've got to deal with our border, and that is the right position to take.
The immigration policy changes are part of a proposed $100 billion package that includes military aid to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. The GOP has repeatedly demanded that border security be on the table in order to get a deal done by Christmas. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey, for that information right there. Wayne County, Michigan prosecutor Kim Worthy has announced charges against 28-year-old man in the death of a synagogue president, Samantha Wool.
Count 1, homicide, felony murder. That he did while in perpetration or attempted perpetration of a felony, of a larceny, and or a home invasion in the first degree, murder.
Michael Bolanos was a stranger to Wool, and officials say that she was killed with a knife as the man was robbing her home. Bolanos lied to the police about larcenies involving vehicle in the area the day that Wool's death. Worthy said that there is no evidence that Wool's death was a hate crime. Wayne County prosecutor also is ruling out hate crime in the murder of Samantha Wool. Take a listen.
There are no facts to suggest that this defendant knew Ms. Walls, and there are certainly no facts to suggest that this was a hate crime.
So some interesting stuff, no doubt about that, as we are talking. What do we want to do? What do we want to do here? Let's do this one. A man is in custody after starting a fire inside of a New York State Supreme Court just hours after the testimony was heard from former President Trump in the civil fraud trial. Take a listen.
Some floors of the court building had to be evacuated as fire officials got to the scene downtown just after 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. A court spokesperson says someone in the courthouse lit fires to papers before using a fire extinguisher themselves to try to put out that fire. Among those evacuated from the building was Judge Arthur Ngorin, who was presiding over the Trump fraud trial. The FDNY says 17 people suffered minor injuries in the incident. The motive behind the fire is unknown. Jonathan O'Halloran, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, for that. We're going to do one more real quick. We're going to talk about this. Miles of razor wire is not enough for Texas National Guard, which is trying to dilute asylum seekers from crossing the border illegally. They're now building what is called an anti-climb barrier on the outskirts of Brownsville.
It's 8-foot by 12-foot fences that we're able to string together here. We're going to reinforce it with sea wire on it as well to make it even more anti-climb.
Captain Chris Daniels says that the idea to slow down illegal crossings so that the human traffickers can be arrested at Border Patrol is also in the area of El Paso, are encountering just one of thousands of illegal migrants a day. Shelters are also overwhelmed, and they're saying that they're releasing people to the streets on the border towns. Captain Chris Daniels says the 12-foot fence are strung together, then they have layers of razor wire.
We have bad actors that are coming over, opening up the wire, allowing traffic to move through. With this ACB reinforced with the sea wire, it's going to slow that down a little bit.
Daniels also says that the goal is to slow down human traffickers.
They're going to have to do a lot more cutting to get through the ACB. They obviously can't manipulate it by pushing it down or putting clothes on it. And then climbing it would be a very hard task for them to complete.
Don't you love when people start talking in code? ACB. Yeah, there you go. I understood that one very well. Let's do this real quick. It is that time to do the main story, so let's do it.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, yes, main story time on the Rated R Safety Show. And let's talk about that because it was like we planned it, and it really wasn't planned whatsoever. But communication is such a crucial portion on what we do for work. Let's talk about it because, listen, the way that you communicate inside of your organization will always have a big factor to what is going on. Now, could you imagine you start having a conversation with the people that are in the C-suite and you're like, and for doing everything that you want to do, and you can go to and that's the bottom line, and you're talking to them about some safety occurrence that is going on. Now, think about that. If you were to walk into the C-suite and tell somebody, because that's what I think, probably not going to go too well. Just saying. Probably you're going to lose your audience immediately for regards of having that particular pattern of speaking. Just the kind of how it goes in most parts. Not saying that it's okay to go tell someone to at any particular point, but it's something to think about. So, the way that we communicate with people normally needs to be adaptable. And you need to adapt to the environment of what is going on within the organization. So if you want someone from, let's say, the C-suite to listen to you, you have to speak in the language that they understand. I'm not talking about English. I'm not talking about Spanish. I'm not talking about French. That's not what I'm talking about. It needs to be in the same lingo. And I don't know how it is in the C-suite in the place that you work, or how the C-suite, I can tell you about the C-suite on the place where I work at and how those conversations have to go. But at the end of the day, communication's always going to be crucial on how you do some of the things, opposed to you just going in there and being like, because that's what I feel like telling you. No one's going to pay attention. So taking that communication practice and moving forward with it will always be more important than anything else. Think about it for a moment. Because if I go in and I am wanting help from the C-suite, if I'm wanting help from the line people, if I'm wanting help from mid-management, I have to be able to speak in a format that people will understand and it makes sense to them. Listen, this dude was just talking about razor wire and connection formats and using lingo that will never make sense to me. So if you walk in to people that do the job that you do, you might be able to talk about that stuff in that format. But if I go into a C-suite where most of these people don't understand most of the things that are going on inside of the organization, and I don't mean that to be I'm just telling you that because that's the way that it goes. We have to understand to an extent that that particular portion is that they were hired for their skill set of what they do as running a company, not exactly understanding 100% of what is done within the organization. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's going to piss some people off because some people get very irate on why would you bring someone in to what we do that doesn't understand what we are doing? And I get it. But listen, that is the world that we live in. I will tell you, when I got into this world of transportation, there was no way when I got into transportation and transportation safety that I should have ever been involved with that, especially coming from where I was coming from, broadcasting and retail. Seriously, that's where I came in from. So that's the stuff that I look at and go, we have to understand language of communication. Now, think about this for a moment. If you change your style of communication inside of your organization, how much further will these conversations go that you're trying to accomplish and getting people to focus on safety within the organization?
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
What do guys like besides pizza and morning sex?
Jay Allen in the morning.
It's so bizarre and unnatural.
It's all good. On Radio Big.
Okay, here we are Rated R Safety Show, 43 minutes past the top of the hour. As we are hanging and banging on this lovely Thursday. Oh yeah, listening to some jams for sure. Yeah, you know how it goes around here. We're taking it slow. This right here, this is No Room by Keston Wright. Songs readily available on Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Music if you want to give a little streamer-eamer action. We would like to thank Keston Wright for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Hey, it's an important one. You know, we like to chill as much as you do. Not the Netflix portion, just in case. So there you go. Thank you. Thank you to Nestlin Wright for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Always importante as we're doing our thingo. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk real quick about some stuff that is happening inside of our world, inside of our lifetime. And if anything, let me tell you the most important thing that I will ever tell you why I'm still alive. That is for sure. And that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No doubt about that. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to twlloha.com. Once you get there, click on the section that says Find Help and learn these words. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. To Write Love on Her Arms wants you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. Healing is possible. Seriously, this is not a joke as I say this. This is information that is readily available. I will tell you that when we go through mental health issues, when we go through struggles, most of the time we don't know where to turn. This will get you started down the path. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that this is going to be the easiest thing that you'll do, because it won't be. Getting to the website and starting the conversation, easy. Working through the stuff, that's where we get to. So, if you need a starter, if you need to know where to go, where to start moving with this, To Write Love on Her Arms, twlloha.com, and click on the section that says Find Help. Seriously, you will be amazed on how much impact and change this can actually have in your lifetime in regards to the things that are going on if you just focus on some of this. Seriously. To Write Love on Her Arms, twlloha.com. Click on the section that says Find Help. Let's continue talking real quick about some other things that are going on inside of the world. According to a new study, having children can increase your lifespan to a point. Researchers at the University of Michigan reviewed the health and genetic info of 276,000 people living in the UK and found that parenting children can extend a person's life expectancy to about 76. Those which children enjoy a 5 to 10% longevity advantage over childless people. It seems that those children, or those with two children, can expect the longest lifespan. The researchers surmise that it is possible for people with kids to live longer because of the social benefits that come with having children. Previous studies have found that those with kids tend to have more social interaction, such as with other parents and teachers, and higher social contact is known to be linked with a longer life. It was also determined that those who have a genetically inclined to have more than two children have a lower probability of living to the age of 76. Good thing, because they're going to run out of money before that, so that's a good thing to talk about. And so something good will eventually come to those parents, teachers, and meetings, PTA meetings, athletic council meetings, Girl Guide fundraisers, dance classes, and probation hearings that kids drag me to every week. Yeah, I said that out loud, just in case if you were wondering.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
I don't know why I have that either, but hey, that's something to talk about. We'll leave it neither here nor there. Let's talk about this, talking about all kinds of interesting stuff. More than half of Americans are earning $100,000 a year, live paycheck to paycheck. Trey Thomas reports.
That's according to a Lending Club report. Many experts point to a phenomenon called lifestyle inflation as one of the culprits. That's when the pattern of spending increases as a person's income increases. Many Americans say their incomes have not been keeping up with rising living costs. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, so change your lifestyle, because listen, lifestyle of the rich and the famous, they're always complaining. They're always complaining. Oh, okay, that's something else. So there you go. I don't know. Something to think about. What would you want to do? Who knows? Anyways, the travel season is about to kick into high gear, and the Transportation Security Administration says it's prepared. Mark Mayfield has more.
According to the agency, the busiest travel times will be around the Christmas and New Year's holidays. It is recommended that people arrive at the airport at least 2 hours before their scheduled flight to make sure they have enough time to get through security. Also, travelers should know what they can and can't bring on board their flight to help the screening process move smoothly. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Now, hold on. I know that here in Orlando, that's like just the bare minimum 2 hours. I mean, what are you trying to say? Should we do longer or not? Who knows? There you go. Anyway, some beloved Christmas classic are among the films that are named the National Film Registry. Nikki Magagas has more.
It includes Home Alone starring Macaulay Culkin.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
And Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Other films added to the Library of Congress include Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator 2: Judgment Day, the Ron Howard-directed film Apollo 13, and the Oscar winner for Best Picture, 12 Years a Slave. Each year, 25 films are inducted into the registry, chosen for their cultural, historic, and aesthetic importance to America's film heritage. Nika Magahis, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Nika, for that. So, hey, what do you think about that? I wasn't aware that Terminator 2 was a Christmas movie. Good to know. No, I'm just joking as I say that. Okay, Apple is unveiling an iPhone security update to keep thieves at bay. Lisa Taylor has more.
The new feature adds more steps to access information rather than just the typically 4 or 6-digit passcode. The stolen device protection feature will keep users protected by prompting them to enter biometric data through their Face ID or Touch ID to make more sensitive changes. It's currently available only to beta testers, but will be available in an upcoming software update. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Ooh, let's do some biohacking right there. Anyways, take a listen to this real quick, because this one was hitting the news sources last night. Country music star Luke Combs is responding after a Tampa, Florida TV station, WFLA, I worked there a long time ago, but that was radio side, reported to a woman who was sued for $250,000 for selling a homemade tumbler with Combs' likeness through Amazon. Combs says that he does work with a company that goes after large corporations who make million on counterfeit T-shirts, and somehow Nicole Harness got swept into it.
She told me that, she was absolutely shocked by this. I'm so apologetic. Talking to her, it makes me sick, honestly, that this would happen, especially at the holidays. I can't imagine being in her shoes.
Combs says that he plans to send her about $11,000 to unlock her Amazon account, and is putting on his own tumbler up for sale with proceeds to help Harness's medical bills. It is not clear at this point if Harness is off the hook for the $250,000. Combs says that he does protect his brand, but this woman was never supposed to be part of that.
And so we do have a company that goes after folks, only supposedly large corporations operating internationally that make millions and millions of dollars. And apparently this woman, Nicole, has somehow gotten wrapped into that.
So there you go. Some stuff to think about for sure as we are talking. Let's go with something slightly happier. Let's bring in some John Smalls where we can talk about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. Today's quote was submitted by Michael. Maya Angelou said, "I've learned that you shouldn't go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. You need to be able to throw something back." I love that. We've had many quotes from her lately, and I'm very cool with that. Keep on sending them. Have you ever met someone, by the way, with 2 catcher's mitts on in their life, expecting everything to come their way, but never willing to throw something back to others? I've worked with a few individuals like this, not for very long, because they didn't last long in the company where I worked. It's impossible to be a team player when you'll never pass anything to anyone. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Marijuana use during pregnancies being linked to low birth weight. A study published by the American Medical Association looked at over 9,000 pregnant women across the U.S. and found that cannabis use was associated with an increased risk of unhealthy outcomes, including low birth weight. Researchers at the University of Utah found the risk of possible negative outcomes rose by nearly 30% in those who used cannabis while pregnant. As many look forward to holiday goodies, a lot of us also try to avoid the scale during the holidays. Consumer science expert Sherilyn Jackson says we eat for enjoyment, especially during the holidays.
All of our celebrations contain a lot of focus on various types of food.
Jackson says not eating so quickly and paying attention to the body's cues can help too. Health Updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
Yes, pay attention to some of those cues, that's for sure. 55 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out and doing all the fun stuff, because that is what we do around here. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date, because it's always important to do so. Hey, let's take a look back of what the hell was going on. Let's look at 2020, because it was an interesting time. The U.S. begins administering Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines. The total death count around this time hits about 300,000. That was back in 2020. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. DK Metcalf turns 26. Tori Kelly turns 31. Offset turns 32. Vanessa Hudgens, 35. Jackson Rathbone turns 39. Mike Fuentes, 39. Michael Owen turns 44. Miranda Hart, 51. James Comey, 63, and Stan Smith turned 77 today. So there you go. There are some birthdays for you, because I know some people want to know. So there you go. Think about this real quick, because I got something for you. A new reading AI is able to translate brainwaves into written text. A team at the University of Technology in Sydney, Australia, conducted tests using only sensor-filled helmets combined with artificial intelligence. In the study, participants read passages of text while wearing a cap that recorded electrical brain activity through their scalp. These EEG recordings were then converted into text using a AI model called DeWave. While the system is far from perfect, its accuracy was about 40%. The researchers say that more recent data shows the accuracy closer to 60%, and the technology is non-invasive, relatively inexpensive, and easily transportable, but only 40% accurate. My wife can translate whatever I'm thinking about way better than that, I'm just trying to say. And wow, and you thought that regular texting was a brilliant way of miscommunicating something? Wow, can't wait for this. And I didn't see this coming, but I'm sure AI did. So there you go. Some stuff to think about for sure as we are talking. So it's welcome to the strange world, my friends. Welcome to the strange world. So here you go. If you need a random joke for today, I cannot understand why there are so many people outside. I mean, don't they have Netflix or something? I'm just saying, that's the random for you. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is the worst thing about sharing living quarters with someone else? Chopped beef in a bowl, sharing a bathroom. That would be it. If you need a conversation for the water cooler, try this. Question. In a survey, 11% of adults said that this is the worst Christmas gift they've ever received. What is it? Decorations. So there you go. Decorations. That would be the worst Christmas gift that you could receive. So there you go. Anyways, this is going to end our time together. If you want to come hang out with me, I will be going over exclusively to Radio Big for the next couple hours or so. You're more than welcome to come out and hang out. Take a listen to the world of entertainment. Listen to some music together, and we'll go from there. That's your option. If you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine, too. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But you can also stay here on Safety FM and hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus. Yeah, you know, the Sheldon man. You know, the guy that does everything. The guy that we all love. Yeah, Sheldon Primus. He'll be here if you want to hang out with him. No problemo there. No problemo. Anyway, so that's going to sum it up. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do what we do around here. If I can't leave with you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. If it matters to you, you'll find a way. Think about that. That is so important. No doubt about it. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.